What's up, kinfolk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. If this is your first time watching Adapt and Respond, thank you for joining us here live. We talk college football. We talk football year round. And if you're into that, hit that subscribe button, like this video, and answer questions in the comments below. Could you have managed the final drive of the game better if you were on the sideline at Colorado in the 27-20 win for Georgia Tech at Colorado? In a game that I had picked Colorado to win, felt really good about it going into it. And you know what? There was good reason to believe that this was going to go Colorado's way from the very beginning. You saw it. It was happening before your eyes. A Georgia Tech team that had not fumbled the football more than 3 times in 2024 had given up 3 takeaways in the first 8 minutes of the game, including 2 putting the ball on the carpet and 1 interception across the body to DJ McKinney, who might be the best defensive player that Colorado has all year. And yet, they could never turn those turnovers into points. Colorado turned just 1 of those turnovers into 7 points. 3 turnovers going your way, you get 7 points out of them. You get points out of each one of those, you win this game. It's just that simple. There's also this, there's less than a minute left. There's less than a minute to play. You have the clock running. Instead of spiking the ball or calling a timeout, because you know this is what you need to do to conserve the clock, because the clock is working against you at this point, you're letting run and tick, and then to get Caden Salter running sideways, only to pick up the first down, which would have stopped the clock, just slide, but he runs toward the out of bounds. So you lost me another 2-3 seconds. And all I'm watching is Prime walking up and down the sideline as if he himself is arrested in this, like he can't do anything. And I'm going, somebody use your timeouts. That's what you have them for. You also have Georgia Tech at a disadvantage over here because they only had 1 timeout going into the final 2 minutes of the game because of the new injury rule. You catch an injury, you stop the clock, we take a timeout from you. This is preventing teams from cheating like they had in years past. Didn't look like Georgia Tech had a dude that was on the field that was cheating, but the rule is still the rule. I don't know that we're going to be able to get past the clock management part of this, but we should, because Haynes King played the kind of football game I expected Caden Salter to play. Full credit to the dude from Longview, who was using every bit of his 50-point, 400-meter high school record to go out there and make it do what it do against Robert Livingston's defense that looked like it was playing so well, but was also on the field for so friggin' long. I kept asking, what are you going to do to get these guys off the field? Because as much as it didn't look like Georgia Tech was able to do anything in the first quarter or the third quarter, they were running the football and they were hammering you and they were hammering you and they were hammering you. And yeah, you were platooning in, but each time I could see Buster Faulkner's run game just taking chunks out of that front 7. And it showed up in the form of Haynes King breaking it wide open for the game-winning touchdown. 45 yards this man ran all the way to end zone, slowed down, thought about taking the knee. You could see him slowing down there. Because he's like, should I score with a minute left to play? Or should I take the knee here and make sure that we get the win? Because remember, at that time, at point, it's 2020. So you could play for the field goal, but he decided to run into the end zone. He's in the away stadium. The crowd was doing everything it knew how to do, man. They got false start penalty after false start penalty. They had the center out there snapping to false gods, praying to false idols out there. He didn't know if he was coming or going. And yet and still, we got a record rushing performance from Haynes King with 156 yards on 19 carries. That's 8.2 yards per carry. And he had 3 TDs. That's a hell of a tailback number there he has, man. 19 for 156 with 3 TDs. Also 13 to 20 for 143 and the pick. That is Georgia Tech football. That's what we saw. Buster Faulkner basically out there running the Texas spread with Haynes King. Hey, look, we might throw the ball. We might throw the ball. But what it's going to be about is our quarterback. What it's going to be about is number 10 running around making things happen. And every now and again, we're going to try to put the ball in the belly of Jamal Haynes. And that man's going to go for, 16 for 65? So that wasn't that bad. Eric Rivers kind of sort of showed up. They didn't really need to throw the ball, but that's not what Georgia Tech was ever going to do. Again, they're going to run this Texas spread. For those of y'all that are of a high school ilk and you've ever seen the wing tee, make the wing tee in the 4 wide and you got Texas spread, okay? All we're trying to do is make sure that our best athlete touches the ball, runs with the ball as often as possible. And every now and again, we're going to try to hit you over the middle. We're going to try to hit you outside. That is what they were doing well at Georgia Tech against Robert Livingston's defense. And there was nothing that it seemed they could do about it because If they're able to push you off the ball, cancel Christmas, game's over. I mean, we'll talk about Auburn here in a little bit, but they did the same thing to Baylor. And that's what you saw earlier. Like I was making jokes earlier tonight because Tarleton State, the Texans, went and gave the Black Knight the what for and how now. Went up there to West Point, dropped the W on them, walked out with 250 G's. You know what I'm saying? Money in the bag because they were able to stop the run and eventually get into a place where they could go win the football game. I was astonished to look at just how many yards this Georgia Tech offense was able to put up because I expected the Colorado defense to be better. And when I looked down, I saw 320 rush yards and 463 total yards. You know what time it is. You know what this is going to be. You knew that it was never going to be up to Colorado's defense to get this done. It was always going to have to be Caden Salter, who won the job in large part because of what he can do with his legs. What we also learned is that boy's accuracy needs some work. Like he's on the go and he's moving, but I saw so many passes that were just too high for anybody to catch. I kept thinking Sincere Brown was going to be wide open. I kept thinking Draylon Miller was going to be wide open. It even takes away from how I thought Michael Welch played best. I mean, 11 carries, 64 yards, put the ball in his belly. I mean, they have a rushing game this year. 31 carries, 146. They ain't Haynes King's number, but they damn near 4.7 yards per carry. That'll work. That'll get it done. What we don't have anymore for Colorado, though, is a passing attack. That much is very clear. In the way that Shedeur Sanders, Travis Hunter, Will Shepard, Jimmy Horn, LeJonte West, Draylon Miller were mostly responsible for the entire offense last year, it feels like they're a far cry from that, man. It's not the 143 or so that Caden Salter finished with. Actually, he's finished with 159. So 17 and 28 for 159. It's that I don't have more than two dudes out here with multiple catches out here, man. I mean, we got a tailback and DeKalon Taylor leading in receptions. That's not what you want. I need Omarion Miller to show up. I need Draylon Miller to get more touches. I mean, I keep going down this list over here, and I see they kept trying to get the ball to Sincere, but he wasn't there, or either he wasn't out running the ball. There were a couple plays that wide receivers could have made on the ball that would have changed the course of the game, but I can't leave that all up to them. I can't say that's all on them. I have to say, at some point, Caden Salter has to put the football on them. And Pat Shurmur, Lord have mercy. How many of these bubble screens are you going to call, dog? I mean, after about the third swing pass, I'm a linebacker, I'm a safety. I'm just coming to hit somebody. I know where the ball, I see you. I know where the ball is coming. And you know what? If I am thinking about football and not decapitating a dude, I've seen, Lord help me, I almost cussed on this podcast. I don't want to do that right now for you. They got my blood pressure going over here. But I would come downhill and I would snatch the football and I run the other way instead. But you know what? Because the devil is a lie, and sometimes he got a good idea. I might have tried to run right through your chest because that was how Pat Shurmur was calling this game, dog. It was either go routes, play action rollouts, or swing passes. I don't understand. I don't understand. I get that we run what we run, but when I know what you're running, out of the formation that you're running it in, and I'm a safety or linebacker, I'm just going to trigger. I mean, I'm just chitty bang banging on your running backs because you are hanging them out to dry, throwing them hospital balls out there, trying to get people hurt. I'm trying to tell y'all, I don't know that Pat Shurmur is going to get more creative in his play calling. I just don't see it. I realize that that's Deion's man, but it might not need to be his man. He might need to treat him like he did Sean Lewis. You know what I'm saying? You might need to go a different way here. Because if that's the offense that you're going to be running, it's going to get you beat. When your defense comes up with 3 takeaways and you win the turnover battle like they did, I got nothing for you on the offensive side. Except for that last drive where Les Miles is like, you know what? I thought it was a pretty good drive they called right there. You would, Les. You would. Philadelphia Eagles, Andy Reid out there. I think he did the best he can. What he got? I'm sure you did. Mario Cristobal at Oregon and now at Miami going, you know what? I bet that's pretty good clock management as far as I'm concerned. No, dog, it's not. You had other opportunities to try to get you 6 or 7. And we throwing Hail Marys with 18 seconds left to go? Who does that? For what? For who? And then when you finally got to throw the Hail Mary, of course they're going to have 5 defensive backs back. And you gotta actually be out there praying for people to catch the football, they should not have lost this football game. Anybody watching this football game knows that Georgia Tech made too many mistakes on the road to get this victory. But they did, which means that Colorado did not come up with a bare minimum. Stop people from doing. It's not about stopping them running the ball on you. It's about stopping yourself from making these ridiculous mistakes, both on the sideline and on the football field. Georgia Tech is a really good indicator of the kind of competition that Colorado will face in the Big 12. And if that is the kind of product they're going to put on the field, it's going to be a hard season. It is. It's going to be a hard season. There's a lot you can learn from this. There's a lot you can take away from this. And I'm sure that the film is going to tell them a lot. And I'm sure they're going to try to get better from this. But they're going to have to get better in a hurry, particularly in the play calling on the offensive side and the quarterback accuracy. I need those things to go. And enough of the swing pass. Running backs are running backs. Running backs. Hand somebody the football in their chest and let them run behind to block it. It looked real good. It looked real good. It looked really good. Why are we going away from it? You do it until they stop it. That's the rule. You don't get bored about things that work. You don't raise the level of difficulty because it's working. You keep running it and you keep running it and you keep running it and you keep running it until such time as you see 8 men in the box and then you go over the top of their heads. It's basic. It's fundamental. That's why it's football. It's fundamental. Glory be. Georgia Tech, congratulations. You came into a place that was against you, both on the field and in atmosphere and altitude. They made them boys walk up the steps. I don't know if y'all got this story or not, but Georgia Tech showed up to the team hotel they were staying at yesterday, found out the elevators didn't work. They brought them boys in at altitude, made them boys walk up the steps to get to their rooms. I don't know if it's gamesmanship or not. If it is, I salute you. If not, damn. And they still came out here and got a W? Whew. That's tough. That's real tough, but that's what Brent Key expects. That's what Brent Key expects. They fought back from some really stupid mistakes to start, and they showed up when they needed to. And when it was time for Colorado to do the same, they simply could not. Let's talk about Auburn and Baylor and what we learned from this version of Jackson Arnold that seemed to be stomping a mud hole in Baylor and walking it dry while, I thought he was done. Maybe he still is, or maybe the Big 12's got another thing coming about how competitive it's going to be against what was a bottom dweller in the SEC. Back on Adapt and Respond with me, RJ Young. If you are new to the show, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Like this video and answer the question in the comments below. Did you expect that Jackson Arnold was going to run all up and down Baylor at McLean Stadium in a game where both Dave Aranda and Hugh Freeze got to have it? Both those dudes are on the hot seat. Hugh's seat a little bit warmer than Dave Aranda's seat, but you get my meaning here. Both those guys thought they have very good football teams and need to show that in a game that's going to say a lot about how we feel about the Big 12 and the SEC. I'm also going to remind you that you're watching live because we're doing a live show post-game like we will be doing on Saturday night and like we will be doing on, the odd Sunday, the odd Monday, and the odd Thursday. You can bet on this and then subscribe to the podcast on Apple, Spotify. I am still putting stickers in the mail for anybody that fills out this form in the description below. You can go do that. Jackson Arnold threw the ball all of 17 times. 17 times against Baylor for 108 yards. They still won by 2 touchdowns, 38-24 on the road at McLean Stadium. But it was his legs that once again made it work. 16 carries, 137 yards, 8.6 yards per carry, 2 TDs. Pretty damn good. I mean, and you know what? We always knew that the running back room was going to be deep for them. Jeremiah Cobb showing up in a really big way. Same thing is true of, my goodness, Damari Alston. Those dudes combined for 159 rush yards. Add that to the 136 to Jackson Arnold. It's easy to see how with everybody else, you get a 307. What I didn't expect was that Hugh Freeze was going to watch his team run the ball 52 times. Hugh Freeze loves nothing more than to throw the ball downfield. He wants a quarterback that can run RPO and hit people up top of the head. I think it was really telling that about halfway through the second quarter, he decided, okay, so the offense is just going to be Jackson and the running backs running some version of what they did at Georgia Tech today, Texas spread. That man is not going to be taking the top off too many defenses with his arm, Jackson Arnold, not in the SEC. We saw it last year at Oklahoma. When they beat Alabama, a top 10 team, it was because he got loose with them hips and with them legs, started running through people. Same thing is true of Auburn. I think that's just going to be what the offense is, even with Cam Coleman, even with Eric Singleton. They'll have wideouts, but I don't know how much you're going to be able to trust them to do much because you were able to run the ball 300 yards against a decent Baylor team, a Baylor team that could go bowling, maybe not. We'll see. We know that the offense was good enough for Baylor. Sawyer Robertson, 27-48, 419 yards, 3 TDs, no picks. Wasn't his fault. It's for damn sure. Cole Wilson was out there making it happen. 18 catches for 134 yards. Michael Trigg finally showing up to be the kind of tight end I thought he was going to be at SC, thought he was going to be at Ole Miss. Now is at Baylor, of all places, with 7 catches for 99 yards. The guy that we kept thinking was going to break out was actually Josh Cameron, and he got all of 2 catches? Kobe Prentice, also 2 catches. If they actually develop that wide receiver core into something, they could be nasty. Just they're going to need a defense that can stop some people. Also, shout out to Caden Knighton, man. Coming out of Pauls Valley, Oklahoma. You don't see that too often, where a dude shows up from Pauls Valley and is the starting tailback at Baylor. That's pretty cool. Some of y'all don't even know where Pauls Valley is, but I guarantee you look it up on a map. It ain't no place that you want to go unless you understand we keep the heat around here and we go hunting. Gotta tell y'all, don't mess with Southeast Oklahoma like that. You don't want it like that. That ain't what you want. That ain't what you want. They make them hard. They make them lean. They make them nasty in Pauls Valley. It felt like that was going to be the way it goes from the jump because I'm watching Auburn have a difficult time moving the football, and I'm watching Sawyer Robertson mostly be able to throw the ball to whomever he wants. But when it comes time to holding on to the football and when it comes time to running the football, that was not anything that Caden Knighton could help them with. I mean, they had just 24 rushes for 64 yards. That's 2.7 yards per carry. That's not going to get it done. That said, Sawyer Robertson was always going to be the guy that was going to lead this football team to where it was going to go. And if he's throwing 400 yards a game and you're losing, especially with Matt Powledge calling this defense and Dave Aranda being the defensive guy, I got questions about the staff. I don't have questions about the offense. Jake Spavital is going, hey, I did my job. We put up a bunch of yards. We didn't score as many points, but you scored 24 points. You would expect to win, right? You scored 38, you know you're going to win. And by the end of the third quarter, going into the fourth quarter, it looked like Jackson Arnold was actually playing with that defense because he was getting loose enough to where you coming to understand what that speed actually looks like. Denton Geyer showed up for the Mans in his native state, right, as it were. I'm curious, though, if this is going to be what Auburn is going forward because it's a good win for them. It is. And it's a bad win for the Big 12. It's a bad win for the Big 12 because we thought Baylor was going to be in the upper half of the Big 12, that it could be a great representation of what the Big 12 could do against a middling to bad SEC team. And it turns out, no, the SEC is just that much better because nobody believes right now that Auburn is going to finish inside the top 6 of the SEC, right? They might be 7 when we're talking about getting into conference play. But this also means that Jackson Arnold got just his 3rd win against a really good opponent. And by really good opponent, I mean somebody plays in the Power 4, right? Like I'm thinking about him getting a hook and Michael Hawkins needing to go beat that Auburn team that they played last year. Also remember that Auburn, I should say, opens up its SEC competition with Oklahoma this year. And if this is the offense that they bring, it'll be interesting because Brent Venables is just going to be in tackling drills. That's all you're going to be doing. Can you put people on the ground? Can you stop them from 3rd and short? That's going to be the offense. As much as I kept watching this game and thinking that at one point or another, Baylor was going to find a way to claw back in it, I was amazed at just how few first downs Auburn actually needed to win this game. Like Baylor had 23. Auburn had 25. They were also pretty damn good on 3rd down when they got there. Like Auburn was 5 of 10 while Baylor was 5 of 15. But the yardage all the way over to Baylor, 483 yards they put up. to the 415 that Auburn put up. Both teams, turnover-free football. Don't see that often. One team threw the ball a bunch, got 4 sacks. One team didn't throw the ball a bunch, got a sack. Jackson on those sacks. The 9 penalties for 83 yards is going to really piss Hugh Freeze off. The 6 for 55 is probably going to get under Dave Aranda's skin. But that was what I took from this. This was not necessarily how I think that Auburn's going to be that much better. It's more like, I don't know how good Baylor's going to be. And if Baylor's not going to be any good, you're talking about Colorado and Baylor taking losses to ACC and SEC competition tonight. That's just not a good look. It's not a good look, especially as we've seen Brett Yormark make loud noises about needing to get more than one team from his league into the college football playoff. Well, if you can't beat a 7-win Georgia Tech from last year, even though they spot you 3 turnovers the first 8 minutes of the ball game, and you can't beat an Auburn team that seemed to lose to everybody but A&M, and they put 38 up on your skull, how can we take you seriously? Like, going into this thing, we thought that the Big 12 was the 4th best of the Power 4 program, Power 4 conferences, and now we know. Now we know, right? I'm not certain that anybody other than the Big 12 champion is going to get into the playoff right now, if this is what it is. Because you needed to show that you're better than the middle of the ACC and you're better than the bottom of the SEC. You needed to show that. Kansas State, Iowa State, they're going to have to do it a little bit later on for you. But I don't know how much you want to trust that. I'm really not sure how much you want to trust that. Cincinnati got stomped out by Nebraska, so it seemed, right? And then they came on late. And then Brendan Sorsby basically threw the game away. He had an opportunity to win that football game for them against Nebraska last night, but they didn't. So that's 0-2 that we've seen the Big 12 be against the SEC and the Big 10. And now we're looking at Colorado and the Big 12, and we're asking other questions. You know, we're asking real questions about, is it really worth having more than 2 teams from the ACC, more than 1 team from the Big 12 into the college football playoff if we know that these are what the results are going to be? I find that to be a fascinating question worth asking. The last thing that I actually wanted to get in here before we try to talk about what it is that's going to happen tomorrow is I did not expect just how bad the defense would look in the second half for Colorado and for Baylor. I thought they would get their act together just a little bit more. They start off strong. If you are Colorado, you know, Martavius French with the 2 fumble recoveries, and then I mentioned DJ McKinney. But giving up 400 yards, 450 yards of offense to either one of those programs, that can't happen, even in week 1. Even when you expect, because what you would expect is that the defenses are a little bit further ahead of the offenses. That just wasn't the case tonight. Auburn ought to feel good about this. They'll get back on the plane and they'll know, okay, cool. We're headed in the direction we need to be going for this pivotal year for Hugh Freeze. Baylor's going to feel some kind of way. They showed out for this game. They really did. The game was on Big Fox. They had RG3 on the mic with Jason Benetti. You needed a W here. You really did. For Colorado, you had Dave and Dusty on the call, right? Both of those guys seemed to be all in on whatever the storyline was going to be. And it turned out to be Georgia Tech, who feels like they got a shot this year of playing for the ACC championship. I don't know that this is indicative of a team that can do that, but goodness me, man, 3 takeaways and you still don't get the W. Ugh. Ugh. All right, let's take a short break, come back. Let's talk a little bit about what is on tap for Saturday. And if you've been living underneath that particular rock, we got a pretty good game that's kicking off at noon Eastern. Back on Adapt and Respond with me, RJ Young. You're watching live. And if you are, hit that subscribe button, like this video, and answer the question in the comments below. Who you got? Ohio State or Texas? Florida State or Alabama? Clemson or LSU? Those are the 3 big games that we got on tap tomorrow, with Ohio State, Texas kicking off at noon Eastern. I've already done so many segments on Ohio State, Texas, but if you have been new to the channel or living underneath that particular rock, you have not heard, I picked Ohio State to win this game. Okay? I could go into other reasons as to why, but one of those is they are playing at Ohio Stadium. Another is I really enjoy this dude wearing number 4. This guy named Jeremiah Smith. But RJ, they took him away in the college football playoff, and they still won by 14 points. Why? Because it turns out they got other dudes that can catch the football at Ohio State. All right? We'll see. Defensively, you got to go with Texas. That is the best unit of the 4 on the football field tomorrow because it's the one that we know the most about, right? Colin Simmons, Anthony Hill, Trey Moore, Michael Taft, Malik Muhammad. Those are names that you need to know. They will really play a pivotal role in the game. And if Julian Sand is to break this ridiculous streak of first-time starting quarterbacks against number 1 ranked teams losing 16, 18 consecutive games, he's going to need a little bit of help, particularly from that defense that might miss a tackle or two and allow for a Brandon Ennis or a Carnell Tate, a Quincy Porter, a Mylan Graham, a James Peoples, a CJ Donaldson, a Jeremiah Smith to just run naked and free, butt naked open down there. It could happen, but I don't bank on it. Arch Manning coming to this spot, it's the biggest game that he's going to play. I mean, I would love to see what it looks like for a quarterback making his first start against a ranked opponent, let alone a top 5 opponent or number 3 opponent. But that's not the stat that I ended up working with because I wrote a column today at Fox that you can go read where I was going, today is about the Saiyan. It's about the Super Saiyan and which one we're going to see. Because whether or not Ohio State wins the game, we're going to remember this day for Julian Sand because nobody's seen him play. All right? So I want to know, which Kakarot am I going to get here? Huh? Am I going to get my man doing the coldest warm-up on earth, bouncing around, getting ready to go? You know what? You ain't even seen me at my level yet. Let me show you who I am. Am I going to see my man go into this full-on blonde wig? I don't know. We'll see. Does he got a Super Saiyan Blue? Does he have one of those in him? I need to find out. None of us know. I'm really fascinated to see what it is that Julian Sand's actually about because I've seen Jackson Arnold supposed to be the dude, was not the dude, was the furthest thing from the dude. You're putting a lot of stock into Julian Sand, and let me tell y'all, there ain't a whole lot behind him. Don't let people lie to you about what Lincoln Keenholz is capable of. Don't put that on his head. Don't do that. No. You need Julian Sand to be good this year. You really do, and you need to be good in this game. Arch is the known commodity. We know what Arch is capable of. We know who he is. I still like Ohio State in this game. I still think it's going to be a barn burner and close. It's going to be a lot of fun. Down the line, I realized that Alabama's had 3 really ridiculous injuries, particularly one at defensive line and in the running back room. But there is no reason for why Kalen DeBoer and Bama should not drop this Florida State team like a bad habit. They should not. If they are the team that we think they are, top 10, capable of playing the SEC championship, will make the playoff, they need to beat Florida State going away. 14, 20 points. That's what we're looking at. Tommy Castellanos wrote a check. Let's see if he can cash it. Let's see what Deontay Lawson and the boys down there in the Tide country got to say about what Tommy Castellanos said. Talk about Daddy Nick Saban ain't here to save you. I would take offense to that. It was me. I would not let that one slide. That I wouldn't let that slide. We'd have words about this. We'd have more than words about this. We'd have a meeting about this. One where I pick you up and drop you on your skull a few times. That's what I would do. We'll see if Alabama got that in the bag, right? To say nothing of what Ty Simpson is going to be or not be. I think if he runs the offense that Ryan Grubb knows he can run, then yeah, they'll throw for 1 million yards because he got Ryan Williams over there. He got Isaiah Horton over there. And no, there's no Jam Miller, but there is a Richard Young. They got guys. They'll be all right. On the other hand, I'm not sure who you're going to be able to trust if Tommy Castellanos can't throw the ball down the field. Because the offense that I think Gus Malzahn might be forced to run will look a lot like the one that Hugh Freeze was running with Jackson Arnold tonight. The one that Buster Faulkner was running with Haynes King tonight. And maybe that's good enough to win, but it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. You should be bigger, faster, stronger than that offense that Florida State is putting out there. So I like Bama in that game. And then LSU Clemson, I picked this game too. You can watch that segment where I go a little bit more in depth. I like Clemson in this game. There are people in my profession that already have made Clemson the number 1 team in the country based on what they return. They know what Cade Klubnik is about. They know that Antonio Williams is going to be out there catching passes, that Bryant Wesco's a dude. But more than anything else, they know that there's at least 2 dudes at every line, at every unit, at every level of the defense. Peter Woods, TJ Parker, Sammy Brown, Woody Woodaz. Keep going down the list. The defense is going to be nasty. The defense is going to be good. And it's Death Valley, which is a very difficult place for anybody to come in and go get a W. So if Garrett Nussmeier does not get off to a fast start, I'm going to ask, how are you going to get back in this game? Because you need Caden Durham to be a part of this, yeah. And Aaron Anderson is going to be there. Nick Anderson is going to be there. We understand that. But if Harold Perkins turns into the dude that he was in 2023 alongside Whit Weeks and Patrick Payton, yeah, all right. You got my attention. I would also tell y'all to be on the lookout for a 5-star true freshman named DJ Pickett, who is a 6'5" corner. Whew. No wonder Tristan Keys decided to flip his commitment from LSU to Tennessee. You don't want to face that in no practice. I'm joking about Tristan. I am. But it is a tremendous pickup for Tennessee, and it looked like it was going that way. So they got the number 1 wide receiver in Tristan Keys, and they got the number 1 quarterback, number 1 player in 26 class in Faison Brandon going to Tennessee. They're going to be nasty in the years to come. Those are my picks going into the Saturday slate. We'll talk about Miami, Notre Dame a little bit later on, Virginia Tech, South Carolina, and whatever the hell you think Bill Belichick, North Carolina, going to do against Texas Christian, Josh Hoover. Ought to be a lot of fun. We will be here all week. Check a column a little bit later on tonight. That is my Friday superlatives, where just go through what I think is very cool about Friday night. I'm going to tell you, Jackson Arnold, Haynes King, Tarleton State, probably going to be in it. All right. I will catch y'all on the flip side. Deuces.